the entire process. You say you are subsidized, and that is what is weighing you down while you are unable to deliver the dividend of democracy. And then you open the newspaper, you see a humongous amount of money that have been stolen in the different places and parastatals. How do you reconcile that?
Okay.
Today, cost of project.
Mr. Tunde Kolawole, let's also, in the same light of subsidy, my question now is, if you look at the Daily Trust, you find out that the World Bank is asking Nigeria to end fuel subsidy in
precision, and the World Bank precision work in an economy where there's a productive base, where there are industries, where agriculture is working. This is a dependency economy. It is an economy that is a rentier economy, an economy that depends only on selling crude petroleum products and then using the money to import goods and services. Is that an economy that's going to be amenable to IMF and World Bank prescription? All these Bretton Woods programs does not apply because the basis upon which they might be headed to.
Tunde Kolawole, my question is, why are they really interested in what happens in the Nigerian economy? Could it be that, because we constantly go to them for funds to borrow resources? Could it be the reason?
Yes. We are owing the Paris Club, we are owing the London Club, we are owing the World Bank, we are owing the Chinese, we are owing the Arabs, we are owing so many countries, so many organizations around the world that our grants might not even be able to repay. So it is in order for us to be able to repay our debt. That is why they are making all these restrictions. And it is not strange. When you are owing money, the creditor has a justification to impose some sanctions, or impose some restrictions on you, or impose some guidelines. So it sees that you cut your clothes according to the size of your clothes, so that you can repay him. They are not giving us those restrictions because they love us, because they want us to the Nigerian economy. They are thinking of how we are going to be able to repay back the humongous amount of loan that the present government in particular has been piling up since 2015.
All right, Barrister Kolawole, another story that made headlines on the Punch.
So this is a very interesting one. I suspect that and also work with Rufai when Rufai was at the Federal Capital Territory as minister. It was also that recommended heading the parastatal under our ministry. That might be one of the reasons, or that there was a suggestion that because of the congestion in the ports in Lagos, that another port should be built in Badagry and another one at the Lake. The woman opposed it very stoutly. She never looked at the merit of those ports. She's only interested in not seeing another port being built in Lagos, and not in the southwest, and not in Port Harcourt, and not in River State. It's like she's there to protect the interests of certain sections of the country. It is not impossible. Rotimi Amichimi also have seen through that, and because of that, he has found a way to get rid of her. Our case is political, and I don't see her returning to that post so long as Rotimi Amichi remains Minister of Transport. Nobody is interested in interviewing or looking at the merit or the demerit of our case. Okay. Our case is simply and straightforwardly, if you permit me to use the word, political.
Okay, let's move away from that now and look at an issue of security in Niger State. Boko Haram forcing parents to withdraw children from school. This is according to the Niger State government, and that's on the Daily Trust newspaper. Now, you also have reports saying that 151,380 villagers have been displaced in 30 communities. What do you make of this?
Well, I am not surprised. I recollect that when the Boko Haram insurgency first started, I granted an interview to a newspaper house, and I raised an alarm and said, look, if you're unable to defeat or crush the Boko Haram insurgency within 2-3 years, and you allow them to be there for about 10 years, the possibility that you'll never be able to defeat them will never be there again. Because within the period, they would have mastered the terrain, they would have perfected their supply routes, they would have seen the weaknesses of the Nigerian security, especially the army, and then they would have become very battle hardened. And then too, the Nigerian army would have becoming weary, tired of fighting a war, more audacious. The citizens who are becoming weary and they are becoming tired are now beginning to cooperate with the Boko Haram, because they have seen that the federal government or the Nigerian military that should come to their rescue has failed them. So if the Boko Haram is going to guarantee peace, security for them, enough space to be able to live in their communities without fear of losing their lives and limbs and all that, why not cooperate with the Boko Haram?
So what happens?
Furthermore, when you look at
so what happens to being the chief security
all over
officer
the
of the
world,
state?
that is guerrilla warfare. It is a fleeting war. It is always moving from one theater to the other. It is not a sedentary war. We don't stay put. Any guerrilla army that stays put in one particular place is not constantly moving, will be quickly wiped out. So that is why you find out the Boko Haram will be in Borno today, tomorrow it is in Niger State, tomorrow it is Sokoto State. That is the classical strategy of fighting an effective guerrilla warfare. I should think that is the strategy and tactics that the Boko Haram has also mastered. More importantly, you will recollect that the Cameroonian army were also Ambassadorian freedom fighters were accused recently of making an incursion. I think was it to Gongola State or one of the states in there. The governor of the state raised his voice, cried out that the governors don't have the wherewithal, that they are not empowered by law to really deal with security. Now when those people came in, he was helpless. The same thing is happening in Niger State today. Even if the Niger State governor sees this Boko Haram coming in there, building tents, taking over community, collecting taxes and all, what power does he have? What soldier does he have? What equipment does he have?
But logically,
to contain them before the federal government arrives at the scene. Every power, every quasi power is concentrated in the hands of the commander-in-chief in the federal government.
Mr. Tunde Kolawole, please allow me to, not been empowered by the law. And you were elected because it is government responsibility at every level to protect lives and properties. So I really do not understand. And the question is, so what happens to you being the chief security officer of your state?
Well, honestly speaking, on paper, the governors are the chief security officer of their respective states. But does the commissioner of police in their state, do they report to them? Does the director of state security service report to the governor? Does the DOC of the army barracks in the respective states report to the governor? If the governor wants to use any of those security forces, he will talk to them, and those people will talk to their superior in Abuja, and then the superior in Abuja, either the IG or the chief of army staff or the director general of DSS, will have to get approval from the commander-in-chief, which is Mr. President, before the soldier, before the police, before the DSS can be deployed in the respective states. In between the time all this approval will be given, whoever wants to commit mayhem, the Boko Haram that want to take over territory, would have established themselves on the ground. But more importantly too, you and I do know that the governors themselves also have their blame. They take a humongous amount of money in billions on a monthly basis as security votes. But do they spend the money on security? No. They divert the money, they embezzle the money, they use the money to pay obas or be social assistance and all that, to buy loyalty, to buy votes, and they do all manners of things that are not related to security. Because just like you said, there are certain little things that the governors could do that would have enhanced the security architecture of their state. Let's take the example of Lagos State, which for me is a noble example They have set up a kind of security trust fund in which all the businesses, all the rich people in the community put in some funds, and they buy vehicles, they buy helicopters, they buy boats to patrol the waters and all that. And they also put it on the federal government to show that the responsibility
all right,
of providing the money and the
we have
security.
in fact understood the position on all of that.
It shouldn't be that.
As we conclude
Furthermore,
now,
more importantly,
all right, as we conclude, Barrister Kolawole, if I can just get a word in edgewise. On the final note, I just want you to comment very quickly in 30 seconds. The final story we will analyze this morning. EFCC picks up Fani Kayode for alleged forgery and document manipulation. Very quickly, I want your comment on that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that the EFCC has again gone to Fani Kayode. You know, I think he has about 1 or 2 cases in court presently. And the smart man will probably think that if he cross over to the APC, all his sins will be forgiven. Because that has been the precedent, that has been the antecedent of politicians who have soiled their hands in their political parties. Immediately the EFCC or the ICPC or the police have to move after them. They go to the APC, the ruling party, and then like my chairman of APC will say, Madam Oshiomole, all their previous things will be erased and then they'll be forgiven. And then they can go home and sin no more and spend whatever money they have stolen without harassment, intimidation from any quarter. So if the EFCC is going after Fani Kayode at this point in time, it's not impossible that the ruling party, in newspaper, in social media, and then on radio and television programs, they may want to teach him some lessons. I said before that with what he has done in the past to these people, I have a fear that they might not be extended that like this. They might not be extended that of forgiving his corruption case, because the man, in a way, nearly torpedoed the present government power through incendiary commentaries. That is
the press this morning. We appreciate your time. We will be discussing more in just a moment, and we analyze what happened in history today.
Brought to you by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. Statutorily mandated to ensure that there is regulation and promotion of matters affecting our waters. NIMASA bears responsibility for search and rescue, shipping development, and ship registration.
NIMASA This Week, the voice of maritime, showing on this channel.
largest economy where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
You will escape. Say to your neighbor, there is no peace for the wicked.
The lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence is a man's precious possession.
Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
Moment of Truth with Pastor Tunde Bakare. Sundays, 7 p.m. on PlusTvAfrica.
All right, welcome back. It's still The Breakfast on PlusTvAfrica. He's a former governorship aspirant in Kogi State. Good morning to you, Prince Aldo. Thanks for joining us on The Breakfast.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here. Thank you very much.
All right, from what we understand, your group specifically wants nothing to do with, if I have to put it out with me, Malabuni. You want him to step aside because of some of the issues going on at the APC, specifically not holding congresses. Can you just throw more light on that?
Thank you very much. Glad to be here this morning. Actually, it's not that we want him to step aside. We've actually sacked him, and we have dissolved the CCPC, which is the caretaker committee. When we did this in Kaduna on Saturday, the governors, and we picked a date for our convention. We're going ahead to do the APC convention at the Eagle Square in February next year. As we did that, 24 hours later, all the governors of the APC met up in Abuja and decided to pick the same February that we had picked so that they can, try and in an attempt to deceive us. But what we have decided, we've had our own emergency meeting as young.
All right, it's still The Breakfast on PlusTvAfrica. We'll
young
just
people and with by Mr. President.
Yeah, go ahead. We lost you in a bit. We could not really get most of what you said. Can you just go back or go through what you said again? At some point, we had some sort of disconnection.
Okay, that's fine. I'll go again.
Yeah. So basically, what are
basically our group, the Progressive Youth Movement,
holding of their convention, and a lot of people seem to think that Malabuni is not capable of handling the affairs of the CEPC.
Well, if you look at the issue, I'm hoping that we're able to get connection with him so we can answer some of the questions on board. But I think we do have Mustafa Audu. Hello,
yes.
Mustafa. All right, it's good.
I'm here. I can hear you clearly.
All right, so we apologize for all of the disconnection and connection, but however, we hope that this would be sustained.
Governors met up and went to Mr. President and said they wanted the convention for February. I believe this is an attempt to silence young people in the party, and we honestly believe that they have no intention to conduct this convention in February. Therefore, we're going ahead to conduct our own convention. Next week, we'll be naming our own CECPC, who will bring out the zoning formula and begin a process of carrying out the convention to make sure that the party heals. We do not believe that the current caretaker committee has the capacity to carry out the convention. Therefore, they have been dissolved.
Okay, so we'd like to get some clarity. I mean, you saying you are going ahead and they are going ahead. It feels like
it's the therefore, and they have been dissolved. Therefore, we will be carrying out the convention in February at Eagle Square.
No, but how constitutional, how legal is it if you went ahead to conduct your own?
The governors have communicated these issues to Mr. President. The only way that we will not go ahead with the convention if young people have a dialogue with Mr. President. Nigeria right now is going through issues. You can see the insecurity. 3 days in a row on the Kaduna Abuja Expressway, there have been killings, insecurity, kidnapping, murder. It's very unfortunate. So these are the problems, and all these problems stem from leadership issues. Without young people getting involved, these are young people committing these crimes. These are young people that should be engaged in more productive means. But unfortunately, this is the reality we're facing today. And it's simple. The reason why is because there are no young people in leadership position. So until young people get up and start representing the majority stakeholders of Nigeria, there will continue to be an issue. If you look at the APC, the problems in the APC is indicative of the problems in Nigeria. So until we fix our party, we're going to keep having these issues. So we do not believe that the governors have the best interest of the party at heart. So as young people, where do we stand? We are tired. Do not engage these youths. Like they say, an idle hand is the devil's workshop. Our youths are not being engaged creatively and positively simply because the people in power do not understand, are too old to understand what is going on with young people. There are not enough young stakeholders in the party. There are not enough young stakeholders in governance. Therefore, if you continue like this, there will keep being a problem. And Mr. President has challenged us to do this. What we are doing is a direct instruction from Mr. President. He told us in January, we cannot expect things to be done different. We cannot expect a different result if we continue to do things the same way. Therefore, we must do things differently. If young people are not engaged in governance, there are only two people that can solve Nigeria's problems today. Number one is Mr. President, and number two are the young people. It is time for young people and Mr. President to dialogue. Therefore, we as young stakeholders of the APC will not stand down until we dialogue with Mr. President, because the right message, the right problems that are going on in Nigeria are not being communicated to Mr. President, because we know the people that went there to the presidential villa to see Mr. President, and we were part of the team. Now, what Mr. President told us is that as young people, he wants us to be involved in governance. He doesn't envisage, tired of complaining, and said they will do the APC convention in February. That shows you the power of the youth. If the youth come together, where do young people flourish? Fintech, for example, Flutterwave, look at them. They're one of the top companies in the world. If you see healthcare, if you see entertainment, if you see the movie industry, anything you see young people involved. But in politics and leadership, young people are only involved in the electioneering, in counting the votes, in being INEC, in being the security forces, in being everything except in leadership. Young people have never come together to say, these are the representatives we want to represent.
Carrying the interest of the young people at heart, in as much as you've said that you had a meeting with the president, and he has asked the young people not to do things the same way, that they should get more involved in the party. Are you saying right now, if I understood you correctly, that the president, that's Muhammadu Buhari, and maybe the party or the leadership of the party are seemingly working in cross purposes? He believes in the young people, and the party, the APC, that these are not really young people friendly.
What I'm saying in particular is that the APC was forged from a need to get rid of the rot and disease in Nigeria. In 2015, we believed in one man. One man had the interest. Almost every single well-meaning Nigerian rallied around the poor man, the rich, the middle class. They sent the little they had to bring in President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, since the APC has come into power and the APC, Nigerians, nowhere, we are tired of complaining. We are tired of saying there is a problem. This is what we should do now, is come together. Understand the power of our numbers.